Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Mental Mobility Podcast, episode number 105. We're going to talk about something that I wrote down that I think is very important to us, and I don't know how to label it. It just says this. It's not that you hate yourself. You've taken the voice of someone else telling you that. Outside voices get into our head because someone put those insecurities on you. So there's a lot of things that I'm very insecure about. I am very guarded from because of what people have told me in my past and have become a fact in my mind. Right? And fact equals fat. And that's one of the biggest ones that I have going on for me for insecurities and or daily issues, I guess you can say. Because when I was young, yeah, I was fat. I was overweight. I was not one of the skinny athletic kids growing up until I chose to become athletic and chose to lose the weight, which is from 10th grade to 11th grade, right? And if you know my story, I've done it the wrong way in any way possible. You know, I did it to where no one knew was my big secret, was my eating disorders and my binging and bulimic habits. I'm not going to say I am bulimic, right? Because that's one of the things that I've done in the past, and this is only a couple years, right? Past 2 years, they finally labeled me as depressed, or 3 years ago, depressed, bipolar, BPD, so like a personality disorder, yeah, something like that. Maybe true, but it doesn't mean that I am. Sure, it may be things that I'm challenged with. It may be things that have me, at least it'll have me do things, right, a certain way, but I don't believe it's something that I am. I know I have it. I know I have those tendencies. I know I definitely do have those habits that are created by the ailments and or they want to say diseases, but it doesn't mean it stops me. And for a lot of people, it stops them. You know, it stops me though. It did stop me in the past. So another way, when I was telling my story and talking about it, was when I found out, I didn't find out, I knew. Right, I found an easy way to enjoy my food and not gain weight, and that was very simple. That was called pulling the trigger for me. I just had to find a nice, safe, quiet place in order to do so. Now it's weird, right? As a male, as a man, he's doing these things to look good. He actually cares about what people think about him and how he thinks about himself. Yeah, it was very important to me because my whole upbringing, I was laughed at. I was called fat. I was called slow. I was the big one. I was what they would call in Filipino, tabachoy. And that was my nickname. Where the uncles would, hey, tabachoy. And they all just, laugh while they're drinking their beer. They're fucking tabachoy too. I don't know why I became the only one that was tabachoy. But those little words, I had to take a breath real quick. Those little words that people tell you over and over and over again, every day, every weekend, every month, to remind you of something that you really don't want to be, but soon become that person or that thing just by reinforcement, right? You're reinforced every day that you're fat. You're reinforced every day that you're ugly. You're reinforced every day that you'll never have a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want to say. But then those traits carry on and some people stick to it. Right? Luckily for me, I found a way out, but it wasn't a way that was very safe, right? I became bulimic anorexic. I wouldn't even say anorexic because I would just say bulimic because anorexic is completely different. I would say bigorexic because I was never big enough, right? I was not like, I always wanted to be a monster, like fucking Brock Lesnar. No neck, fucking steel jaw. I always wanted to walk around thinking like I was that. But nah, wasn't in my genes. It wasn't in my monetary fortitude to take that many steroids. Honestly, but I was stuck in the fat boy syndrome. Like I just thought I would be this person for the rest of my life, and still till today. It's one of the hardest challenges, one of the hardest struggles, is looking at myself in the mirror and understanding that I look good, that I am in shape, that I am not fat. Weird, because when I look in the mirror, I'm not in shape. I am old stomach. I am fat, and it's very challenging for me to get over that because of what has been fed to me, I'm sure, for many, many, many years. And when you start hearing those things about yourself consistently over and over and over again, you will subconsciously believe that you are, but we're not. Now, I'm not here to tell you that I'm over it, because I'm not. I talk about this because I'm also working through this. I'm also taking the steps to show myself self-love. I'm showing myself gratitude. I'm showing myself self-care. And even with all those things in line, I still can't see myself as in shape. Weird, right? Because I did remember, I don't know if you guys are part of the podcast, but a couple weeks ago I had to get let me check my phone if get the notes. I went to my cardiologist, right? Because my doctor said that my heart rate was too low. So they got a little scared and wanted to make sure, or cautious, not scared. And they wanted to make sure that I go to a cardiologist to make sure my heart was working properly. And after all the weeks and weeks of testing and going to the cardiologist's office and paying a wonderful copay every single time, I'm in great shape. The cardiologist said, just keep doing what it is you're doing. If anyone tells you that you're not in shape, tell them that he has the paper. The doctor says, tell them I have the paper that proves that you're in very, very good shape. And even with that said, I still don't believe. Maybe now that's because it's my mindset. Right? That's the type of person that I become, to kind of work harder, to be better, to do things every day. Grind, hustle, keep being till you're better. And again, that's just another thing that I was fed. But it's something that I was fed that had positive reinforcement behind it. When I opened up Crank, or whenever I became anything, I hustled, I grinded, I did everything I can to make it work. And that's one trait you can't take away from me. Like I said, there's no good or bad things. It's just how do we take it in at the end, right? Hustle and grind culture is great for a minute. We're not gonna say you don't have to do the work. We're not trying to say that you don't have to, get ahead. I'm saying you have to do those things, but when you start to lose yourself in that process and giving up too much to complete that task, well, then is that your life? If it is, then don't even listen to me anymore. Because if that's your agreement, then that's your agreement. I'm not here to tell you what you are or what not. I'm just telling you what I've gone through. And the hustle and grind brought me here. And maybe it was a lesson, maybe it was not, maybe it was a calling, maybe it was not. But what it did do is that it developed me into the person who I am today. Now, do I use a little hustle and grind here and there? Yes. Do I use a little bit of self-care, self-love, relax? Yes. Now I know how to do both, right? I know how to do both because for my personality now, and for the person that I am today, that's the most important thing, is really trying to find that balance between everything and being able to move through everything. I hope that makes sense to you, because we're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to some first sponsors, and we'll come right back. Here we go. All right, guys, this part of this segment is called Play With Me DBT. What does this mean? It's a card deck that I use. It's called DBT deck, right? Boop, 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 boop. Something I use to help practice skills, help practice, I forget what they would say, I don't know the word. Anyway, it doesn't matter, I'm not a fucking scientist, I'm not a therapist or a doctor either, but it's something for me to practice my skills, to feel better, to be better, and to help my mind become a little bit more stable, right? Because we all know it's not that stable sometimes. So anyway, DBT deck, let's shuffle the cards like David Blaine. By the way, a little story, coming back from New Jersey, we saw David Blaine sitting right next to us in the airport. He had sunglasses on, he had David Blaine cut wrist, it seemed. So either he was having a tough day or it's part of his protocol. I'm not sure, maybe he was sneaking mice into his wrist, but we did see David Blaine. And my brother called it, he's like, yo, that's David Blaine. I was like, no way. Oh my God, it might be David Blaine. And then some Asian kid, of course, was like, hey, what's up, Uncle Dave? You want to take a picture with me? Selfie. So leave the guy alone. He's fucking sitting there on the phone, and you come by and say, hey, let me take a picture with me. Please take a picture with me so I could put it on my Instagram and everybody could like it. Everybody could like it. So take a picture. He's fucking tired. Our flight was delayed an hour. We all want to get on the plane. He's doing fucking cards tricks in his mind. And this kid over here is like, can I take a picture with you at the airport? Please, just for me. Not for you. Just for me. Yeah, thanks. No problem. Whoever you were. Asian kid. Anyway, here's a card trick. So pick card, any card. Pick card. Any card. Oh, this one? Okay, cool. Pick this one. Whoops, I was... Alright, let's look at this one. Anyway. Self-soothe skills. Self-soothe. Centers on calming... What the fuck? I can't read. Here we go. Start over. Self-soothe centers on calming and soothing your senses. The idea is to fully engage your senses in behaviors that will relax your body and your mind. When you practice self-soothe, let go of judgment, worries, and thoughts about your responsibilities, and be in the moment. this time will regulate your body and recharge your battery. Commit to working self-soothe intro into your routine. So how last week we had Jason Melendez, a MMA fighter, Muay Thai fighter, a sheriff, a chef, but overall a good guy. So if you guys have not seen that, go back, check out episode number 105, because it's an amazing interview story podcast that we did together. So today I want to talk about the little things that people may have said to you or have done to you or have made you believe things that you are. And we all, this is me, right? Because I was reading to myself and like, why do I hate myself? Why do I hate the things that I do? Why do I not appreciate the things that I've done? Because somewhere down the line, I was convinced that I was not good enough, that I'll never have this, that I'll never have that, and I'll never be successful unless I do this. But I'm here to tell you that we're all wrong, right? We're here to grow, we're here to learn, and whatever path you choose is the one that's going to take us to the one we are now. So let's hang on tight. And let's listen to this week's episode of the Mental Mobility Podcast, episode number 106. Here we go. I believe that's a great way to do it. For me, I sit down in the bathtub, my legs don't fit, so I kind of just, they're in the air like this, or the knees are bent. My penis is barely making it to the top of the fucking, why did I say penis joke? It's so stupid. I have no bubbles, no foam, no bath bomb, just water. And then there's like kids' toys everywhere. So that's kind of what I do to take a bath. But the other one is a way to take a moment of time, regardless of how long it is, and be there with it. Enjoying the senses of the bath, enjoying the feeling of the water, the warmth, the comfort it's bringing you. You know, that's one way to do it. For me, sometimes I just eat something. And I got this in therapy, is that I would take an orange and I would peel it. And when you peel it, you know that when you peel an orange, it smells delicious, right? So I'm peeling it, I'm smelling the aromas, making sure it feels good. It smells good. Then I feel it, like how's it taste? Is it juicy? Is it dry? If it's dry, I'm gonna throw it against the wall and start over. But I'm being in the moment and really being with that orange. And that's literally what self-soothe is. So whenever you feel like your senses are, you know, when your things start to get really, pressuring or very sensitive, like you're like, wow, that my head hurts, that noise makes my head hurts. I get that all the time, right? And it has to do with being bipolar, having bipolar, like, it hurts. Take a minute and go do some self-soothe. So before it starts to escalate too high, bring it down a couple levels so you can continue to do things better throughout the day. All right, so that's DBT of the day. Thank you so much, and we'll be right back. So like what we're talking about is we become the things that we are told the most. And I want to give you a more current example of when I made the biggest mistake from finding out that I was bipolar and depressed. And I want to tell you a quick story real quick, is that I was diagnosed as bipolar many years ago when I had the restaurant and my parents asked me to go to therapy and see a psychiatrist because I was actually just losing my mind, getting very angry all the time and not being able to control my emotions and or control myself. So when I went, they called me bipolar and gave me medication to kind of help with the diagnoses. And I was so ignorant to wanting to get help that I just took the medicine without even researching or understanding or even listening to what anyone else had to say, to what the doctor had to say. I was like, just tell me what to do and I'll just do it. And that's kind of the attitude I went, not knowing I was doing a lot of damage to my body and my brain in that period of time by not listening, by not understanding. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't care. I didn't care because I didn't want to be in that situation. Let's fast forward to 15 years, maybe more. And now I'm back in. And then again, I went through the same tests. And I kind of was, well, these tests are pretty familiar. And then again, I'm diagnosed as bipolar. And this time around, I was like, oh man, well, this makes a lot of sense. Because now I did my research. I did my educating myself. I figured it out. But the biggest mistake I made was believing that I am. And solidifying that that's me. And one advice that was given to me from one of my friends, she's a nurse. She's a crankster. She went up to me and she goes, Pete, no matter, it's like when I'm about to leave to go to Las Vegas. She's like, Pete, no matter what happens, don't fall into believing that you're bipolar. Don't fall into that, I am this because of this. And I didn't listen. So in that entire period, I just kept, well, I did this because I'm bipolar, and I probably did this because I'm bipolar. Now I'm doing this stuff because I'm bipolar. Now I can't do this because I'm bipolar. Now I start to limit myself. Now I don't start to expand the things that I'm really good at. Instead, I start blaming the things that have been given to me or have been appeared to me. Like I have mania, I have depressive moments, I have this and that. And it's like now I just expect them to happen. And then if anything good happens, maybe it was my mania. Maybe I'm acting crazy. If I have a good thought or I feel super energetic, maybe it's my mania. Maybe it's my depression. I feel down, maybe it's my super depression. I don't know. But I would just ride that wave back and forth. Like I can't do this because what if I feel this way on this day? And I didn't listen to what you said. And that's only, I guess, advice or thing I can tell you is that we are not that. I am not bipolar. I have bipolar tendencies. I don't have mania. I get a little manic, right? But I do have them. I'm sure I know that, but I don't want to solidify. I don't want to make the mistake of people telling me that I'm fat and I can't shake it because I believed it so well that it's hard for me to love my body. It's impossible for me to love my body. I don't love it at all. Obviously that's where all the self-mutilative stuff that I do to myself comes from because I don't like it. But it's a very strong impression that people have put on me. And now I was almost expected to be called fat. I was expected to feel fat. I was expected for other people to think that I was fat. And now I am, right? It's hard for me to shake that. And I don't want to do that now with bipolar and depression. I don't want anyone to. I don't want anyone to think that they are what they're labeled as in the past. We can always reinvent ourselves. We could always do better. We could always search and work to become another person. Someone that we love, someone that we like. Let's just not let other people's words and opinions of us become the concrete definition of who we are. Because that's not true at all. Now, if I'm wrong, and it's true, well then that's you. You want to believe it. And you may not be ready for this, but that's okay. I'm just letting you know what I've been through and the stuff that I've gone through in order to hopefully help you in some part of your life. And that's always the case. So I'll see you guys later because Sage is on a fucking rampage downstairs. I don't know if you could hear her in the background, but that's enough taping for today because she's not going to stop talking and I have to talk more in order to keep her out of it. Guys, thank you so much for coming out to the Jersey to Wrong fucking podcast. Thank you for coming out to the Mental Mobility Podcast. This is Pete, episode number 106. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for coming out and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out. Kopshka.